In today's lesson, we're going to learn about some really cool effects that you can put on your music videos. So let's get started. So I am back in my freeze frame transition video, and in that lesson, we learned how to do these freeze frame transitions. This was our first one. This was the second one. And this is the third one. So now we're going to work with the videos that remain after the transitions. We're going to begin with a really simple effect. So let's go into the Effects panel and look for the Find Edges effect. Bring your transitions up, and we can just lock them so we don't disturb the transitions. Duplicate your layer, the first video, and add the Find Edges effect on the duplicate. So now we get this cartoonish look, which we can just work with it by using the sliders here. So we're just going to change the blending mode of this top layer, go to opacity, and change this to color. Once you change the blend mode to color, we're going to get this color leak effect, which can look cool in music videos. If you increase the blend to original, you can kind of bring out more of the colors. So this is 10%. If you go all the way, you're just going to get the original clip. So I will go with 5%, and now I have this effect. If the effect is too much, you can always lower the opacity of the top layer. Now onto our second effect. We're going to use a similar technique, but get a different result. So on this clip, we're going to once again duplicate it and head over to the Effects panel to find the Emboss effect. Add this onto your top layer. It's going to look really weird, but once we change the settings, it's going to look different. We're going to change the blending mode to color. This is going to give us a black and white effect. But once we work with the relief, we're going to get this like RGB separation look. Changing the direction will give you more control over how these colors linger on the edge of the subject. We have the contrast slider too, so work with that. And then blend with original if you want it to be subtle. I'm going to stick with this. And now I have this color separation effect. So it's a little different from our first look because it's black and white, but we still get these colorful edges. Our next effect is using the Find Edges effect. Duplicate your video again and look for the Find Edges effect. Add this on the top one, but this time we're going to change things up. Change the blending mode to linear burn, and you're going to get this like comic book effect. Let me zoom right in. So you can see that the edges are just really cartoonish, and it's looking pretty cool. So this was the original, this is after. If the lines are too harsh, you can always remove from the opacity of that layer to get like a softer watercolor look. This was before, after. All right, that's our third look. I'm going to bring this video in for the next effect just because it looks cooler with like a face that is closer to the screen. I'm going to extend this. We have a video of someone just rapping. And what we're going to do is to duplicate this layer first. Alt or Option, click and drag up. And then we're going to make cuts. So we have one here. Let's say this is one verse of the song. Highlight both clips, Command K, Control K on Windows. Another verse, Command K or Control K. So we have 3 cuts right now. I'm going to get rid of the rest. We're going to just grab each one, change the opacity to like 50% on all 3, the top 3 duplicates. And then change their blending mode to color. So color, color, and color. Now we're just gonna go into our first clip, scale it up a little bit. So you should see like a colorful outline right now. Keep this in mind, 271. In the second one, we're gonna go higher than 271. So maybe 287. Third one, we can do like 350. So I'm not sure if you guys can see, but there's like an echo effect right now. Now we're going to take this a step further and show the ghost effect a lot better, because right now it's just a little color difference. But once we add the emboss effect, this is a really popular effect in Premiere Pro. Add it onto each duplicate, we're going to get something cool. So begin by working with the relief. You can see that now the edges are a lot more visible. And then work with the contrast. So I get this RGB look. The direction is also there. And that's looking pretty good. So we have this effect. Copy this into the other 2, the emboss effect. Command C, Control C. Then Command V, Control V. So now each time that we go in, we're going to get like a bigger effect. But these are all outlines of your subject, so that's why we had to duplicate. If you want to take it a step further, grab all 3 of the duplicates, duplicate those one more time. This will give you a more vibrant color. But we're going to reduce the scale so it's like halfway between this one, 217, and 271. So choose a number in between. Do the same thing here. The first video was 217, second was 287, so choose something in between. So now we got this effect. If you want to have like a flashing effect, you can cut these and make intervals. Grab all of the duplicates, Command K to make randomized cuts in between them. Let's try to make more of these. Highlight, Command K, highlight, Command K. Get rid of the middle sections. Now we got a cool look. Repeat this on all the other duplicates. Now let's move on to our next effect. Bring in your clip. Go to the effect controls and look for the paint bucket effect. Add this right above. And you're going to get this colorful effect. But once we go to the effect controls, we can decide which part should get colored. Grab the fill point and you're going to get this circular thing that you can just move around and decide which part should get colored. So let's put like a color here. You can change the color right below, make it green, red, or any other color. I'm going to go with the blue. Hit OK. And you can decide the movement of this color. So move this back, make a keyframe for tolerance, push it forward, and you can just reduce it to completely remove the color. So now it's going to slowly build up on your subject based on the luminance. All right. If you go to the fill selector, there are some options you can choose based off opacity, transparency, alpha channel, straight color, or color and alpha. So I'm going to stick with straight color, and this will just focus on one area of my color, which is the skin tone at the moment. If you copy and paste the paint bucket effect, you can target multiple parts of your subject. So now her face is blue, but if I grab the fill point on the second paint bucket effect, I can choose a different part. Let's try her sleeve and give it a different color. There we go. Again, if we change the tolerance, we're going to get a different result. So for the second effect, the tolerance is obviously way too much. So instead of 50, I'm going to reduce it to maybe 35. We can also make keyframes for fill point so that it stays on her sleeve. Make a keyframe, push it back so it matches the first tolerance keyframe. Go to the second tolerance keyframe, grab your fill point, and just push it on her sleeve again. So now it's going to be on her sleeve no matter what. And then afterwards it kind of goes crazy, so you just got to keep making these keyframes. Another way to use this effect is to change the fill selector style moving forward. So let's say here we have the paint bucket effect, but after our second keyframe, I'm going to change it into another selector. So make a keyframe for stroke, and then moving forward, I can change it from this into an actual stroke. So you can see that we get these lines all over the subject. Of course, if you want to limit the effect, you have to go up to tolerance and just remove from the number so it's mostly on her face. There we go. So now it's just hanging around on her face. I'm going to repeat this with the green paint bucket effect, again matching the keyframes. So make a keyframe for stroke, matching it with the first one. Move to the second keyframe and turn this to stroke. If needed, you can lower the tolerance, and we're just going to get this stroke effect. The effect is going to keep going until the end of the video, and if you want to change it, you would have to do it with the tolerance slider and the fill point. So this is what it looks like. Our next effect is really simple. Just head to the effects panel and look for the noise HLS. Add this right above. Then head to the effect controls. Start the stopwatch for hue and saturation, and make a keyframe. Move forward in time and increase the hue, then the saturation. You can also add a noise face effect just to change the way the noise is. You can also add a keyframe for lightness and have it kind of flicker through. So make it really bright, move forward, and make it back to normal. And then we can set the hue and the saturation back to normal too. We can move these in really close so that we get a faster animation. This can also be a transition if you want. Just simply put another video underneath. Our next effect is also really simple. I'm just going to use the same clip, remove the noise HLS, instead add this effect. And now we get options for hue, saturation, brightness, and contrast. So make a keyframe for all of them, or whichever you want. And the next frame, so move in one frame, turn the saturation to 0. In the next frame, we're going to change the hue, maybe a couple frames forward. And this will give us like a trippy effect. Just be sure to continue the hue change so that things can look different as we move forward. I'm going to set it so it does one full turn. And we can get this cool effect. With brightness and contrast, you can adjust if it's brighter or darker. I'm going to turn mine a little darker. Let's try -2. And we can also increase the contrast. For saturation, you can just lower it or increase it. So now we have this effect. In the beginning, I'm just going to reset everything so we get the normal video. And now we have this effect. Be sure to reset the parameters after your effect is finished. So this was another simple effect. And that concludes our music video effects. And you can just pair them with the transitions that we learned about. So I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. Let's move on to the next set of effects in Premiere Pro.